Okay. So to talk about characteristics of life, we have to have like a definition of what qualifies as something as a living organism. So we have to have organization and order, adaptations, response to the environment, regulation, energy processing, growth and development, and reproduction. We're going to go over what each one of those things mean. So, all life is organized into these fundamental units called cells. So, a cell is a basic unit of life. It's membrane bound structure, it contains organic molecules, and they're microscopic in size. And cells are the smallest that can be considered a life form. Okay, that's why we refer to them as the building blocks of life. Adaptation. So, populations of organisms that are alive today have adapted to ever changing environments. So, adaptation is a characteristic of life. Humans have adaptations, animals have adaptations, plants have adaptations. So, we always have to consider this. And this is something that a lot of people get hung up on, and they don't have a a solid understanding. Individual organisms do not adapt. I'm not talking about you're a football player and you adapt to another team's strategy or you adapt to a I'm talking about physical adaptations. Okay. So if I went swimming and I wanted to swim underwater for a really long time, I would either need to constantly resurface to breathe, I would need a scuba gear, or I would need to get gills, have a swim bladder, etc. If somebody holds me underwater, I'm not growing gills, okay? An individual doesn't adapt. Adaptation happens through a population. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to evolution. So the smallest unit that can be considered life is called, pause your video, but you should have this answer ready to go. It is C, a cell. Response to environment. So this is the next one, even though it looks like it's supposed to be a question. You can click on these anytime it's blue. There's a link, there's a video. So living organisms must be able to recognize their surroundings and respond to them. So if you bump into a hot stove or plate, you're going to pull your hand away. Or we move towards things that are nutritious. So we migrate towards food, water. So you have to be able to respond to the environment in order to be considered a life form. Even plants do this. Plants, if you have a plant towards a window, those plants and leaves and flowers and stuff will actually lean towards the sun. It's actually quite cute. Regulation. So living organisms must be able to regulate their internal conditions. This is called maintaining homeostasis. So we'll talk a little bit more about homeostasis in the next slide. So they must be able to keep their internal system separate and different from the external environment. And I'm going to pause the video here so I don't run out of time, and then we'll pick up with homeostasis when I get back.